Now, if you've ever looked at your bank account and thought, why? Why is everything so tight? I'm earning more, but nothing just seems to go very far. Well, of course, you're not crazy. Gen X is dealing with a whole set of financial pressures that no one prepared us for. Today, we're talking about the unspoken cost of being Gen X, the hidden expenses that are quietly draining and stalling our momentum. And because simply existing today costs more than it ever has before, we also need to talk about where the opportunities lie. The things that we can exploit. Because we're not just squeezed, we're also positioned. And I'm going to tell you what I mean by that. So let's get to it. Now, the first point I want to make is being Gen X, well, that's gotten really pricey. And the first thing I want to cover is the parent surprise. Many Gen Xers, they're finding that they're part of what's called the sandwich generation. A meaningful percentage of people are helping their aging parents financially and logistically. And this can show up as, helping them with some of their bills, buying their prescriptions for them, transporting them places, even missing work in order to help them out. Now, no one added that line item to our budget 30 years ago, but it's there now. And it compounds emotionally as well as financially. The second reason why being Gen X is so pricey today is because of Boomerang Kids. Nearly half of young adults live with their parents. And what that often means is, extra groceries, higher utility bills, insurance extensions, sometimes even a full-on financial rescue. Now, we as kids, we were raised to be independent, but we're parenting in a very, very different economy. But even just modest monthly support stretched, over years, that not only affects our current spending, but also our long-term wealth building. Now, the third reason why being Gen X is so expensive is healthcare in your 40s and 50s. Now, have healthcare expenses ever been as expensive as they are today? I would have to say no. And they've accelerated right when Gen X hits midlife. Right when our health insurance premiums are set to rise anyway. Our prescription load probably increases at this time of life. Health issues can no longer be ignored. Right when you need to be maximizing your retirement savings, medical costs, they start taking a larger and bigger chunk out of your income. Now, the fourth reason why being Gen X is so pricey is aging homes. Now, Gen X is one of the largest home-owning demographics out there currently. But that also means that those homes, they're aging right alongside us. And aging homes always means the roof needs replacing and the HVACs fail, the water heaters quit. And when everything starts aging and breaking at the same time, it doesn't feel like a maintenance expense anymore. It feels like a financial pileup. Now, there are more reasons why being Gen X is so pricey today. And the fifth one is subscription-based lifestyle and tech upgrades. We canceled cable because it got way too expensive. But soon, one streaming channel wasn't enough. One streaming channel turned into 3 or more. And then we added some music apps and some cloud storage. Maybe a fitness app subscription, some food delivery memberships, smart home monitoring. It's really endless. The modern household carries more recurring digital bills than ever before. And I don't even see an end in sight. Do you? Now, another reason why being Gen X is so expensive is the high cost of cheap credit. Now, we came of age when credit was extremely easy. Now, do you remember those pre-approved cards that just would come in the mail? You didn't ask for them. They just came ready to go. Now, fortunately, those have stopped. But easy, cheap credit? Oh no, that didn't stop. It's everywhere. Student loans, every store in the mall, more house than we could afford. That came with a way too big mortgage. And for years, those low interest rates that we enjoyed, they kind of masked the long-term cost. But now, of course, all those rates, they're much higher. And variable debt, it's heavier than ever. And many Gen Xers, they're wheezing with debt on all sides. Now, the seventh reason why being Gen X is so pricey today is that we're faced with the retirement catch-up reality. Now, many Gen Xers, we didn't start aggressively saving for retirement in our 20s. It just didn't happen that way for most of us. We had plenty of things to spend our money on back then as well. Those student loans, rent, trying to buy a house, start a family, just life. But now we're in our 40s and 50s and we're realizing that there are much fewer years left for compounding to work its magic. So we feel forced to save hundreds, even thousands, every month just to achieve a six-figure nest egg. We're cutting expenses, we're bringing in extra income, working multiple jobs to afford a retirement that was never this unaffordable before. But let's just shift gears for a minute, because I know at this point I've got you to thinking that, yeah, we know that. Everything in life costs more. And yes, the pressure feels higher because it seems that they're hitting all at once. We're carrying multiple financial responsibilities. It's very pricey to be a Gen Xer today. But in other ways, we are uniquely positioned. And I also want to bring attention to that as well. Now, the second point I want to get into is where Gen Xers have some leverage. And the first one is that most of us were in our peak earning years. Many people in their 40s and 50s find that they're earning more than they ever have. It still might not feel like, a lot, but at least it's more. And that's really powerful, because if you'll use this decade not to inflate your lifestyle, you can redirect that extra income intentionally. And retirement saving catch-up rules, they exist specifically for this window. But that window doesn't stay open forever. Number two is long-term market growth is on our side. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm the first generation in my family to ever invest my money in the market. And yes, markets, they fluctuate. But when it comes to bull markets, we've had a really good run. The longest one in history came after the 2008 crash. It ran for 11 years in total. And the last couple of years have been historically strong as well. But the only way to benefit from that growth is to be invested. And if you've been sitting mostly in cash, out of fear, that's enduring the high cost of being a Gen Xer without getting the benefits of the great returns the market has been providing us. But then, on the other hand, number 3, cash does finally pay off. For the first time in many years, high-yield savings accounts have been paying very well in interest. But you have to be intentional about where you park that cash. And it's more than likely not at the local bank down the street. Online banks, they've been paying between 5 and 3% interest for the past several years. But if all your cash is consumed by inflated living expenses, well, that's an advantage you don't get to take part in. Now, the fourth thing that Gen X can use to offset that pricey existence is that our experience is monetizable. We're the first generation to be able to use our decades of experience digitally. And that shows up in things such as consulting, freelancing, remote work, teaching, digital products. We have options. And that flexibility, it just simply didn't exist 20, 30 years ago. Now let's just zoom out and look at the big picture here because, being Gen X comes with a lot of hidden costs. Being Gen X is quite pricey today. We're supporting up, supporting down, maintaining on all sides, but we're also in our peak earning years. We have catch-up tools. We live in an economy where capital can still grow, and we possess decades of experience. So the pressure is real, but so is the leverage. And often, the only way to fully participate in those advantages I mentioned is to restrain spending in those high-cost areas that we talked about earlier. Now, if this helped put to words what you've been feeling, then please share this with another Gen Xer that's experiencing this economic reality. And a terrific companion to this video is the one I've linked right here. 6 ways Gen X is sabotaging their future. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.